Hey everyone, so today's video is going to be another low buy update. The last time I filmed an update was probably about a month and a half ago, so it has been a little bit and I have made a few new purchases. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see my purchases in empties when I planned this video because for some reason I thought I purchased a lot more than I actually did. I do also have a couple of purchases that haven't gotten to me yet. They're still on the way here in the mail, so I am actually not counting those since I don't actually have them in my collection yet. I don't have them to show you, so I figured I would wait to count those until my next low buy update because that just kind of makes sense because I like to show you guys the actual new products that I brought into my collection. So this update is probably going to be a little bit on the shorter side depending on how much I decide to talk, but I do keep track of a beauty bank and I was inspired to do this sort of concept for my low buy by It's Just Steph here on YouTube. I really love her channel, so definitely go check her out. And if you also want to see some of her low buy content as well, she does similar project pans and content that I do. So if you like my videos, you'll probably really love her videos as well. With my beauty bank, it's kind of self-explanatory. When I have an empty product, it will reduce my beauty bank, and then new products I bring into my collection increase my beauty bank. So last update, or actually let's start from the beginning. So when I first planned this no buy, I started with 9 products in my beauty bank because I didn't want to have more than 250 products in my collection. I believe I was at 241, therefore I started my beauty bank with 9 products because I didn't want to bring in any more than 9 products into my collection because I wanted to keep my collection under 250 products. So also I decided at the beginning of this project to count my empties in a different way. So at the beginning of the project, I was counting 2 empties as 1 in my beauty bank. So after I emptied 2 products, that would reduce my beauty bank by 1. But I actually decided to count it as 1 in, 1 out because it's just easier to sort of understand and conceptualize that way. So it is now just 1 empty equals plus 1 in my beauty bank. And my last low buy update, I actually forgot to show you guys the empty products. So I don't have a ton of empty products to show you, but 3 out of these products I do have as empties are technically from last update, so I should have included them in the last update. So anyways, let's just go ahead and start with my empties. The first one is this Too Faced Shadow Insurance. And this is really old. I actually didn't finish this, but it was irritating my eyes. So I ended up just counting this as an empty. I actually don't know why I counted it as an empty because it's definitely not really close to empty, but I can't use it anymore just because it is so old and I think it's expired. So I'm counting this as an empty even though it technically should just be a declutter, but I just decided to throw it in here just to give myself a little bit of leverage with that one because I haven't been doing too well with my beauty bank. And you also have to think about all of the products in my collection that I have decluttered. Near the beginning of the year, I did a whole collection declutter where I got rid of quite a few products. So in this low buy, I am just sort of tracking my empties and the products that I bring into my collection, but I'm not tracking what goes out of my collection with my declutters. So I feel like knowing how much I've decluttered, I am still okay with my beauty bank number. And I actually didn't share with you, my beginning balance for my beauty bank is -14. So actually the first update I did for my low buy, just as a little overview, my ending beauty bank balance was 8 products. I had +8 left in my beauty bank, and then at the second update, which was about a month and a half ago, I ended with -14. So you can see from that, the first quarter of the year I did pretty well with my low buy, but around the second quarter of the year not so much, which I kind of know why that happened. And I'm not really mad at it because like I said, I did declutter so many products. Anyways, getting back to the empties, I also have this Nude Sticks blush. This is Sweet Peach Peony. It is just a little mini sample. I was trying to finish this for so long and I finally finished it. So I'm really glad to have another cream blush out of my collection because my cream blush collection is slightly out of hand, but my cream blushes just bring me so much joy. So I am kind of at peace with how many cream blushes I have in my collection. And then I also did finish off this another little mini, which I do count my minis as empty products because there's still one product in my makeup inventory. This is the Kosas Air Brow, so it's just a clear brow gel, pretty easy to use up because I use this pretty much every day. And I did get this a while ago. It's not like, I mean, it's a clear brow gel. I feel like drugstore is just as good as high end. I feel like there's not a lot of difference between clear brow gels. Therefore, I definitely wouldn't repurchase this. And then the last empty that I have that I actually have finished up since the last update. So those three I already had empty by the last update, but this one is a new empty. This is the Stila Glitter and Glow in the shade Monarch, and you can see it's not completely empty. There is, like, I definitely used a lot of this up and it is kind of dried out. So this is sort of like an empty slash it's dried out. I'm decluttering it, but there's really not a lot of product left in there. You can see sort of the windows in the packaging. It's pretty much all the product is gone from like the middle, and the stuff that's in the bottom I feel like is just stuck around the edges and all dried up. So this doesn't really perform like it should, and there's not much that comes out on the applicator. So I am counting this as an empty as well. So that is 4 empties. So like I said, my beauty bank was -14. So that brings my beauty bank back up to -10. And now for the products that I brought into my collection, which is my favorite part of these videos. So first off, I did actually purchase a couple products from Mercari, which is like a secondhand website where you can buy pretty much anything, but I mostly use it for makeup. And that is also where I sell a lot of the makeup that I declutter. So I got a couple Nabla products. These were together in a bundle and they were virtually brand new. I don't even think they'd been used before, so they were brand new. So I got the shade Lola in their Skin Glazing formula, which is obviously a blush. It's a really pretty, like, peachy sort of watermelon shade. I feel like this is slightly unique to my collection, and that is why I chose this shade, or I wanted this shade. This was one of the shades that I had been wanting for a really, really long time from Nabla, and it just so happened that they also had the bronzer in the shade I wanted as well. So I feel like it was just the perfect opportunity to pick it up, and obviously it was secondhand, so I got it for probably about 50% off. I can't exactly remember, but I'm really, really happy to have both of these in my collection. And I really love this blush specifically because it doesn't really apply like a powder, and same with the bronzer, because both of these are baked products. It almost looks like you're wearing a cream on your cheeks because it doesn't have any, like, it's not dry at all, and it obviously does have that little bit of glow to it. So I feel like it just looks so healthy and natural and pretty on the cheeks. Something about this formula is just really, really amazing. I think that's partially because it is a baked product. So I have been really, really loving this blush, and also the bronzer. So the bronzer I got in the shade Ambra, which is their lightest shade. And this one was also brand new, so you can tell I've used it a little bit. I mean, I don't know how well you can tell. I believe these are both in my Shop My Stash right now, so I have been getting a little bit of use out of them. Like I said, I do really love them. I feel like this is a great shade for my skin tone as well. It's not too dark, it's not too light, and it's also not too cool and not too warm. It is slightly on the warmer side, but for a glowy bronzer, I do like it. And they're also not like extremely glowy. I think the blush is definitely a little bit more glowy than the bronzer, which I like because I don't want my bronzer to be super shimmery or metallic or anything, but I feel like this is just the perfect amount of glow in a bronzer, and it looks really natural on the cheeks. So both of these products I have been loving, and I'm really, really happy I decided to purchase them. And now that I think about it, I actually purchased all of these products on Mercari. Like I said, I did declutter a lot of makeup, so I have been selling makeup on there. So I was kind of tempted by the balance that was in my account just to go ahead and purchase these. And they definitely weren't impulse purchases. They're products that I've wanted for a really long time. So when I found them on Mercari, I was really, really excited to see them. And the next product, I still don't believe that I have this in my collection. This is the U Beauty palette from Glaminatrix, and they are an Australian brand. This is basically like an Australian palette. And you guys probably don't know, but I am half Australian. My mom is Australian, so I am sort of really happy to have this in my collection, and it was kind of cool because all of the names in this are sort of Australian slang terms. So I was just kind of showing this to my mom and showing her the names, and she was kind of like explaining to me what they actually meant, because a lot of them I was like, I have no idea what that means. So like Straya is like obviously short for Australia, Bloody Oath, Chalkers, Stitch Up, Fair Dinkum, Old Mate, She'll Be Right, Budgie Smugglers, which those are just some of the names, so I don't even remember what some of them mean, but it was really cool to even just look at this palette with my mom and to now have it in my collection. It's also a really pretty sort of, it's almost like a wearable rainbow palette, but it is definitely colorful. But I like that you can still get neutral shades out of here, and I can wear this sort of as an everyday palette just by using a little bit of some of these shades, like some of these yellows and more light shimmery metallic shades down here. And I really love this formula so far. I actually haven't used it very much. I've probably only applied it to my eyes a couple of times, so I can't really speak for the quality, but from what I've heard from about the Glaminatrix formula, it is really good, and I'm excited to dip into some of these more metallic shades. This blue shade did actually come broken, so this was shattered, like completely shattered. I ended up repressing it, and I think it turned out pretty well. And if any of them were going to be shattered, I'm actually happy it was that blue shade, because that's one I'm probably least likely to use. But I am really happy to have this in my collection, even just to look at it and stare at it every day. It is really pretty, and I also love the shade names. Other than the packaging just being really beautiful, I also love just like everything about this palette. So I'm really happy to have this in my collection. And then I did purchase a second eyeshadow palette. I feel like this year I am allowing myself to purchase a few eyeshadow palettes, because last year I purchased, I think, 0 palettes, maybe up until the end of the year. So I also bought the Aether Beauty Desert Sunset palette. Again, this was on Mercari for a really good deal, and Kaki Reviews Beauty raved about this, so she's kind of the one that influenced me to buy this. This had sort of been in the back of my mind, but I knew I wasn't going to buy it full price, and if I didn't have this in my collection, I probably wouldn't be mad, but I'm really happy to have it in my collection, especially now after using it, because I love these tones. I feel like these are the perfect tones because I don't love really gold shadows, and I tend not to reach for golds at all, but something about the shades in here are just so nuanced. Like, it's not a gold shade. It's almost like sort of dirty gold and a little bit green, but it's not too green at the same time. I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like these shades are just perfect, and they look so beautiful on the eyes. And I also like this like pops of color, so you can get different looks out of this. It's not just a boring neutral palette, although most of it, if you take that coral shade out, it is pretty much a boring neutral palette. But something about this is not boring at all. I feel like this is one of those palettes where it can look sort of boring in the pans, but when you actually apply it to the eyes, it is really beautiful. So I am happy to have this in my collection. And I also just love Aether Beauty as a brand. I do have one of their quads and also one of their highlighters, so I love to support Aether Beauty. And then the last product is also a product I had my eye on for a while, but it was just so expensive. It is a clean beauty product, and I knew I wasn't going to buy it full price, and I wasn't really planning on buying it anytime soon, but obviously I did purchase it from Mercari, so I got it for a really good deal. This is the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint SPF 40, and I have been wearing this sort of as like my everyday foundation sort of skin tint. It is definitely light coverage, but it still gives you coverage, and I like that it's also SPF 40 because a lot of skin tints are like SPF maybe 25 or not even 30, so I feel like that is kind of high for a skin tint, and it is definitely like a serum consistency. It's super liquidy, so like if I drop this down my face, it would drip down my face pretty quickly. So it is definitely very thin. I do like this. When you first apply it to your face, it looks super glowy like a skincare product, which you would expect. But I like the fact that it does actually dry down. So when I apply it to my face, it looks very glowy, like I need to apply powder. But what I find that I can use this without applying powder, because after a few minutes, it does actually dry down. It doesn't look super glowy like when you first applied it. but I also find that after it dries down, it can look a little bit, I don't know how to explain it, but it kind of like sticks to my dry patches a little bit. So I think maybe if you have a lot of dry patches, this might not look good on you. But I love the way it looks when I first apply it. Although it is super, super glowy, it makes the skin look so healthy, like you just applied skincare, which this is technically skincare, so that does make sense. But I don't super love the effect when it dries down. But I do still love using this because it does look really, really pretty. And I'm talking about after it dries down, I'm looking super close up at my face. It doesn't look great. You can sort of see a little bit of texture. I guess what I'm trying to say is after it dries down, it does accentuate my texture a little bit where I have sort of those dry patches on my face. But from afar, or if like someone was just talking to me, my face and my skin would probably look really good. But it's just when I look really close up, I can sort of see that texture in my skin. So I do like this, and I like that it has skincare in it, but I probably wouldn't repurchase it after I finish it up. And obviously it does have skincare and SPF in it, so this does expire. So I would like to put this in a project pan to try to use up before it expires, or before that SPF is no longer effective. But I do really love this for a really quick makeup look when I just want to do a really, really fast, like 5-minute makeup, which is what I've been doing every morning. So I have been using this most days, at least when I do apply makeup. So if you have been counting along, that was 5 new products. So after those empties, my beauty bank is at -10, and then those 5 new products bring it back up to -15. So that is where I am ending my low buy for this update, and I am okay with that number. I would like to get it closer to 0 by the end of the year, but also thinking back on all the makeup that I decluttered, I feel like that's still an okay number, and I am still happy with that. And I actually do have 3 lip products that are almost finished off, so those will probably, or they will be in the next update. So I do definitely have some more empties coming before the end of the year. And other than those 3 lip products, I don't see myself finishing off a ton of other makeup. Maybe 1 or 2 other lip products, some more lip products, potentially a concealer here and there, maybe some brow products, those things that I tend to go through regularly. But I hope I can get my beauty bank at least a little bit closer to 0 by the end of the year. But I've also just really been enjoying purchasing makeup when I find something that I really, really want. And I definitely have not regretted any of the makeup purchases that I've made this year. So I have just kind of had fun freely purchasing makeup a little bit more. Since last year I was on a no buy, I was restricting myself a lot, which didn't really turn out well. At the end of my no buy, I kind of splurged a little bit. But I find that restricting myself too much kind of just makes me want to purchase things more. So I'm kind of just giving myself the freedom to purchase makeup that I want to purchase while still purchasing consciously and really thinking about what I want to bring into my collection and what really brings me joy. So that is it for this low buy update. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Also, if you guys are doing any low buys or no buys, make sure to give me an update down below in the comments, because I would really love to find out what is helping you on your no buy or how it is going. Also, if you want to see more videos from me, make sure to subscribe. I do post new videos once a week, so make sure to hit that bell icon if you want to get notified when I do post. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.